Pakistan was betting big on drones during last year's confrontation with India. And, to be honest, their strategy was quite smart. You see, their plan was to use swarms of drones as a cover and fire Chinese anti-radiation missiles carried by the JF-17s. The strategy was simple. You just have to flood Indian airspace with drones and force Indian radars and SAMs to stay active. That would create sensor overload and tracking confusion. The JF-17s would then fire CM-400 8kg anti-radiation missiles that would home in on emitting radars. The ultimate goal was to blind Indian AD, which would open corridors for follow-up strikes. This is textbook SCAD thinking for a force that lacks stealth aircraft, lacks deep strike survivability, and relies heavily on Chinese doctrine and weapons. Pakistan also knew their weakness. They knew their AD would be hit first, and India did actually hit their AD radars first with drones, and Pakistan was expecting that. They expected that after their AD was disabled, India would strike with full force using fighter jets, and that at least some Indian aircraft losses would be used as proof of deterrent success, because beyond that, their escalation space was limited. But India did the complete opposite. Instead, India used standoff weapons to strike Pakistan. And instead of going for fighter jets and trophies, India saw what would be practical: the infrastructure that supports Pakistan's advanced systems, like fighter jet support facilities, missile facilities, and runways. If your fighters can't refuel, can't get necessary weapons, and can't even take off, you have already lost the air battle. This is where Pakistan thought of using its standoff weapons against India, and that's what India was exactly waiting for. None of their ballistic missiles saw success due to Indian IADS. They didn't know India's ADs were networked, which means Air Force, Army, and Navy sensors were fused. Multiple radar bands, passive sensors, and AWACS were working in tandem, and the Doctrine was a mission control at its best performance, with mobility and, yeah, the good old decoys. Pakistan seems to have assumed the decoys were India's fighters. In the end, India didn't need stealth fighters because it never tried to fight Pakistan the way Pakistan fights India. Pakistan chased radars. India controlled the air war. Now, right after Operation Sindoor paused, fragile egos started to claim victory. Pakistan, as usual, claimed victory, and Trump claimed he stopped the war. But Switzerland thinks differently. Swiss military historian Adrian Fontanellas, published by the CHPM, an independent Swiss strategic studies body, said, India's clear aerial advantage and the resulting pressure on Pakistan's air operations were key factors that pressured Islamabad into requesting a ceasefire by May 10, effectively ending the four-day conflict. The Swiss CHPM study is important because it's third-party, non-Indian, non-Pakistani. And it says three things that matter. 1. The IF achieved air superiority by May 10th. Pakistan's air defense network was degraded. 2nd, Pakistan lost escalation options. It failed to impose costs that would deter further Indian strikes. And 3rd, the ceasefire followed Indian deep strikes, not diplomacy. The request came after India demonstrated it could hit targets more than 150 to 200 kilometers inside Pakistan at will. In simple terms, you don't need a mediator when the other side can't fight back anymore. At best, any US messaging was post facto face-saving diplomacy, not war-stopping intervention. Now, Trump's claim serves three political purposes. First, image building for peacemaker credentials. Second, domestic political optics implying, look, conflict stop when I'm in charge. He wants a legacy credit and wants to position himself for awards. And third, great power signaling by avoiding appearing sidelined while India dictates terms and the US reassures Pakistan it still has a patron. The Swiss report destroys the causal chain he implies.